to you by Express Care Health and Skin Center. Get in, get out, get better.
Afternoon, welcome back to our Healthy Living edition of KUAM News Extra. It is that time of our program where Dr. Lom answers questions from our viewers. TM from Mighty asks, I have nickel-sized brown spots on my arms and some of them are starting to harden. Should I be worried?
Well, actually, you don't need to worry. This is a very common condition called a seborrheic keratosis. I call them barnacles. We get them as we get older. They're not related to the sun. They are unsightly. Sometimes they itch a little bit, but they're not harmful, and they will never turn into cancer. They just seem to multiply. They will get crusty and hard, kind of like a wart almost. They can be removed for cosmetic reasons. We use a little bit of liquid nitrogen to just freeze them off. They turn a little bit of a darker color and then just drop off. So they can be removed, but they're nothing to worry about as far as your longevity or your health.
Our next question comes from Alice T. She writes, my son was born with a red birthmark covering almost one side of his face. He's 9 now, and it's still there, and he's starting to get teased about it by other kids. Can this be cosmetically removed?
Well, it can. What this is something called a port wine stain. Port is a type of wine that has a very dark color, reddish, purple almost. And it's unfortunate when these type of birthmarks occur and cover the face. The best time for treatment of them is actually in infancy, when the child is very young. Many, many sessions of laser are required. This is a type of laser that we do not have on Guam at this time. The procedure is a little bit painful, and the child would need to have anesthetic to have the procedure done. So at this time, when your child is already 9 and has lived with it this long, you may consider instead using some very effective concealers. It's called Dermablend. It's available online, and it's a type of makeup that's actually used even in the movie industry and so on to cover tattoos and dark pigmentation. But this is an excellent opportunity to teach your child and the other children in the school that people are born with conditions that they can't do anything about, and we need to be sensitive to them.
Okay, the next question comes from Jane M, and it's actually an interesting question. Are skin whitening creams with bleach good to use?
Yes, this is a great question. There's a huge industry in skin whitening. I always tell people that the color the lightest color you're ever going to be is the color that you see under your arm here, where the sun has not been shining. Okay, you're never going to get any lighter than that, and we should appreciate the color that we're born with, whatever it is, because it's who we are. However, people like to have an even tone, and they like to maybe lighten up to that color. So your best cream to use is sunscreen. If you did nothing but wore sunscreen SPF 30 and higher and applied it every 2 to 3 hours, and you stayed out of the sun and you did that for 3 months, your skin would lighten just by doing that. You have to be very consistent and committed, but if you do it, it will happen. There are prescription and also over-the-counter lightening creams that you can also use. The ones that you can buy over-the-counter in various boutiques and just stores online and so on, they contain a chemical called hydroquinone. The highest percentage that you can get over the counter is 2%. And that's a mild lightening cream. You still have to use sunscreen with that. If you do not use it, it will not work. And you still have to be very patient, because it will take about 3 months for your skin to lighten. Obviously, you cannot coat your entire body in it, only just the spots that are affected maybe on your face or even on your hands. There are prescription strengths of hydroquinone that you can get up to 8 and even 10%, but those carry risks. You cannot use them for more than the 3 or 4 months at a time, because they do have an increased risk of cancers.
Okay, our final question comes from Marie from Dededo. I have a mole on my arm that has doubled in size over the past couple of years. Should I have it removed?
Well, good question, Marie. The first question is, do you have any family history of melanoma? If you don't, then that puts you in a lower risk category, and you go back to the ABCDs that we talked about. Now, your mole is kind of pink, it's raised. It may have doubled in size from 2 millimeters to 4, but it's still not at that 6 millimeter pencil eraser size yet. It's not bleeding, it's nice and smooth, and the color is even, so you don't need to worry about it. You can just watch that one and see what happens.
All right, thank you so much for all the information. That's going to do it for our viewer questions.